guys, Qoheleth here, bringing you my Garmore Liberators deck profile. Since the release of set 12, or prior to the release of set 12, Gold Paladins were really pissing me off. I couldn't get them to work the way I really wanted them to, so I just kind of gave up on them and moved on to other things. Now, Garmore's release, I love Garmore. He's the unit that made me get into the game. The first Gold Paladin one, Silver Wolf. But I figured I would, try my hand at making a deck of them, since there were so many Narukami at my locals, and he was relatively cheap. Let's put it that way. So I threw this together. As far as I'm aware, there's two variants of Garmore. There's the one where you focus on calling shit off the top of your deck, and there's a pressure build. Mine's the pressure build. I just find it more consistent than going for that, big swing mid-game. Yeah, it can win games, but you don't always get Garmore's skill off, so I didn't want to depend on that. So this is the build I chose. And yeah, let's get started. Starter is Liberator Cheer Up Trumpeter. Actually a very good starter. One, it makes room for Garmore's skill. It's really useful, only useful for Garmore. You can use it with other stuff, but it's really only useful for Garmore to get a plus 15k boost. So it removes itself from the field for Garmore's skill, opening that 5th space up, and it allows you to swing for break ride numbers without running the break ride. Main reason why I like it. So for grade 3s, I only run 3 Garmore. Like I said, he's really vanilla unless you limit break. I'm not too big of a fan with his other skill to choose a Liberator and put it to the bottom of the deck. He gets plus 4k. If I'm gonna -1 myself, I would prefer to be at plus 5k. The plus 4k is really just a slap in the face, in my opinion. Like, why am I -1 myself for not even an up and shield? So I run him at 3 because his limit break is very good. However, it's very situational and only helps out in certain matchups. Like if you kind of blast 3 to get a plus 3, it's great. If you're facing like Narukami, they blow up your field in your back row. Kind of blast 3 to get a plus 5 is amazing. It's literally amazing. But if you're playing against another, Garmore deck, there's not much retiring going on. So he runs pretty vanilla in those situations. But it's really hard to tech him into a deck, so that's why I run him at 3, just because I pretty much have to play around him. Like I can't not spend my counterblast in order to play him. I always have to leave 3 open for him in case I need him. And lastly, for Alfred. Alfred is probably the best Vanguard that Gold Paladins have. He swings for huge numbers without counterblast, without any cost actually. Just having a full field, he swings for huge numbers, so you can fill up your field with Garmore, and then boom, 21k unboosted. So the minimum he's swinging for is 21, if you have a full field. So he's amazing. I'll probably keep him at least a 1 of in every single Liberator deck I make from now on, because he is that good. Plus his Counterblast 2 call top card of your deck is very good for those games where you just need 1 unit and you don't need to use Garmore's ability. For grade 2s, I play 4 Fallon, because if you get a bad call, he can hit the Vanguard unboosted, most Vanguards anyway. So I started on Fallon, plus 12k attackers seem to be pretty stable right now. For Eskrod, like I said, this is what I would call the pressure variant. So I run 4 Eskrod to try to see him as much as possible, so I can keep my opponent on their toes. They can't let this hit because I'll get a +1 for +1, and they just have to keep that in mind. Now I don't abuse his skill, mostly because he won't hit more than twice a game anyway, unless your opponent doesn't know how to play around him. But I still have 2 open or 3. If I keep my Counterblast open for Garmore, then I can use his skill twice, no problem. So. And like I said, I just apply that pressure, and I don't need Garmore's skill every game, so I can, I have the ability to free up Counterblast for his skill even more. So very good card in this deck. After that, the rest of the grade 2s are 3 Blaster Blade Liberator. I rarely use his skill, but I do run Barkle, and Barkle is kind of pluses without Counterblast. I mean, yeah, he has to boost him, and yes, he has to hit a Vanguard. So if you don't see either early mid-game, you're probably not going to get their skills off, but it still makes your opponent have to guard it unless they give you that plus. So yeah, this is why it's called the pressure build, because you have Eskrod and Blaster Blade, and you just have cheap pluses at your disposal, and your opponent has to deal with them. So for grade 1s, these are all pretty standard in my opinion. 4 perfects, you know, not much variability there. 4 Joseph, I mean, a lot of top decking in this deck, calling off the top rather. So hitting Josephus happens more than you think it does. There you go. That's what I mean to say. I mean, if you hit 2 off Garmore, you're amazing. If you if you hit 1 off an Alfred or an Eskrod, you're doing great. He's just, or even Liberator and Barkle, Blaster Blade and Barkle. There's so many ways to get him off the top, and with Blaster Blade and Barkle, you can dig for him still. So he becomes a bit more consistent, but he's good to run at 4 anyway, in my opinion. Probably until Gancelot Zenith, I would assume. 4 Marin. Should continue on for grade 1s. 4 Marin. Marin does a lot of work in this deck because it's a 7k booster or a 10k attacker, as most people know. Again, if you get 4 grade 1s off the top for Garmore and one of them's a Marin, you got yourself a perfect column anyway. All the grade 1s that I plan on, you know, are all Marin plus any grade 1 is a 16k column at least. So it's impossible to make a bad column unless you call a trigger in front of it. Or behind it, rather. So Marin just helps you fix your columns due to bad calls. And it's early game rush, just, you know, attacker if you need it. Good card. After that, Barkle Liberator. Barkle, like I said, works with Blaster Blade Liberator. You boost, he hits a Vanguard. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck, call 1 and rest, and then the rest go to the bottom. I really wish it shuffled the deck. That pisses me off that golds don't really get a way to shuffle their deck in a while. Putting those, because most of the time the other 2 cards are triggers, at least for me. So I really want a way to get those back, but I don't have one right now. But yeah, it's what allows Blaster Blade to be good for the pressure build. Otherwise, he's not worth running. And a lot of people don't like Barkle. I mean, if you go first and you are able to ride a grade 1 and then call a Blaster Blade Barkle column on your Vanguard, it's probably going to hit to get you that +1. Maybe you'll hit a Josephus, maybe you'll hit, you know, something that you need later on, but it doesn't matter. It's just ways to fill your field. So, and then as for triggers, you know, standard lineup. So 4 crit, 4 more crit, 4 draw, and 4 heal. I mean, Liberators don't get much in the trigger variability throughout this entire block, if you want to call it that, or season. I mean, they get a total of 4 stands, no more draws, no more crits, they get an extra heal, and that's it. So I mean, I can't seem to make stands work. I mean, I'm sure I could run Rainbow and be alright, but I'm sure you guys could try Rainbow and be alright, but it doesn't work for my playstyle. And since this is a pressure build, maxing out my Liberator crits is what maximizes the pressure. So there you go. And I don't really like stands in Liberators anyway, because your front row is not always amazing for stands. So you could still be hitting for bad numbers, but it's whatever. But yeah, that was Qoheleth, Imagineyourgoddess. Expect to see a couple of match videos with this, I would assume. And expect more deck profiles. We'll talk to you guys later.